Good morning, Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. How's everyone doing today? I'm just going to wait for you guys to tune in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Happy Monday, last week of April. I can't believe the year is going by so fast. Good morning, Empire. Thank you for tuning in. Sexy Sasha Smith. Good morning. Pretty Petite. Good morning. Sweet girl. Good morning. Good morning, Jay Hunter. Island Boy. Good morning. Nash on Facebook. Good morning. YouTubers, are you on here? I don't see any YouTubers, but if you are on there, good morning. Good morning from LA. That's really early. It's like, what is it, 6:30 in the morning? Edim Badyweight, good morning. Janae Dixon from New Jersey, good morning. T. Borna says, I reached out, no return call. I'm sorry about that. Call us again today. Depends on what time you called. I don't know if our offices were opened when you called, but you can also send us a message on WhatsApp with your phone number so we can call you. 6:30 a.m., 6:38 a.m. Yeah, it's definitely early, but thank you for tuning in. Our receipt numbers taken longer than before. My documents were sent out on March 31st, but I still haven't received any receipt notice. You should be getting it around this time. Like I got a receipt notice today from a packet that was sent out on March 28th. So, you're still in the window. A normal receipt takes 4 to 6 weeks. It's usually after 4 to 6 weeks that we'll consider it longer. So you're still within a normal timeline, and you should probably get it this week, hopefully. Mr. Tusk said, good morning, attorney. It's so early. I know I'm here early because y'all, my schedule has been so busy. One of my associate attorneys is out on maternity leave, so we're one woman down, and I've had interviews up the wazoo, just a lot of USCIS visits, in Atlanta here. So it's been really busy for me. Those most of the time the interviews are in the morning, and basically your entire day, or you're spending several hours there. So I couldn't come on live. Okay. Someone says, Tamara says, are you Haitian? No, I'm not Haitian. I'm actually Nigerian, through and through. NYC Queens, hello. I used to live in Queens as well. Let me answer some of your questions. But before I get into the questions, for those of you tuning in for the first time, my name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration lawyer, and I represent clients all over the U.S. With their immigration matters. I handle humanitarian family-based cases and nationality law, which is like naturalization and things like that. If you would like to schedule a consult, you can always call 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp to 404-333-8751. Okay. I'm a U.S. citizen. How long does it take to file for her? Sweet girl, I don't see the first part of your question. Okay, for your daughter, can you do an adjustment of status? Well, the answer is going to really depend on what your daughter's status is. Is your daughter over 21? If your daughter is over 21, she's not an immediate relative, so she falls under the visa bulletin. She has to be in status. It could take 6 to 7 years and stuff like that. I haven't checked the visa bulletin for May yet to see what year they're processing, but that's somewhere along where you be. I am Abby's from Atlanta. Good morning. Good morning. Gabby from Austin. Good morning. Okay. How long to interview people take to come out? This is the last paper right now. I don't know if I understand your question. You say how long does it take for them to schedule you for an interview? Every case is different. I don't know what case you have, so it's hard for me to be able to give you an answer. It's been 6 months since I filed for VAWA. I got my prima facie determination letter, my EAD and travel permit. How much longer till VAWA is approved? VAWA takes 2 to 3 years, so you still have some time. The good news for you is that you have your work permit and travel permit. So even though you're waiting for them to make a decision on your VAWA case, it doesn't restrict you from working or traveling, if you needed to, as long as you're not in, deportation or anything like that. Okay. King says, are you in Houston? I am not in Houston. I actually was born in Houston, funny enough. I'm not in Houston. However, I take cases in Houston and every single state in the US, and we have a lot of clients in Texas. So in a valid case, if you get two prima facie letters, work permit, travel documents, social security number, and get your fingerprints, what's next in the valid case? Waiting for a decision. So you will continue to get prima facie determination letters until they make a decision in your case. As I've always said on this live, I feel like I say this every live, the first prima facie determination letter you get is for a year. After that, it comes in 6-month increments. These are automatically extended. You don't have to do anything. USCIS is often late in sending the extension, but it's nothing to panic about at all. They will send them in 6-month increments until they make a decision on your case. All right. I applied for an I-751 based on cruelty and divorce. If I don't get any response yet and held my green card for 3 years, can I go ahead and file for citizenship? If you do file for citizenship, you have to make sure that your cruelty basis is strong, because that will be the only ground in which you'll be eligible to get your naturalization. Because if they find on the basis of divorce, you're not eligible to naturalize until the 7-year timeline. Okay. Brittany Aiken says, good morning, Aisha. Longtime green card holder. I just had a friend throw a wrench in my story because she believes I'm a citizen from birth. I would need to know a little bit more to answer that question. Okay. I submitted my VAL petition in January and I've not received work authorization yet. That's fine. If you did the proper work permit application, it usually takes anywhere from like 4 to 9 months. So, you fall into any, you can fall into any of those categories there. Okay, more context about the citizenship. So you said, my father was born in the United States. My mother was Trini. I was born in Trini. Got green card through my father. Now I'm married. So the thing is that it's not just, it is possible. So the question is, when you were born, well, you said your father was born in the US. So you technically are a US citizen by birth if your father was a US citizen when you were born. So meaning your father could not have naturalized after you were born. If your father was a US citizen at the time you arrived on this earth, technically you are a US citizen. However, I'm not sure if your father was born here or naturalized here, because then why did they approve you for your green card instead of confirming at that time that you were a citizen? So there's just too much that I would spend the whole time here answering this question. So you probably would need to schedule a consultation for me to go over like your history. Can you expedite the interview before the priority date? I'm not aware of any way that you can. It's simply not available. The visas are not available. They have a cap. They have a cap if you're a family preference category. If you get a 2-year green card, but on USCIS website, the travel permit says 2 months until it's approved. Can you still travel outside of the US? Well, you don't need your travel permit if you're already a green card holder. The travel permit is for non-green card holders. But if you already got your green card, that's what you would use. And most likely, once they're ready to finalize a decision on your travel permit, it's most likely that they're going to deny it, because they're going to say, you've already received benefits in another way, which is as a green card holder. So you're no longer eligible for a travel permit. Good morning. It will be 1 year in May when he filed for VAWA, but only got 1 prima facie without, please, is it something to worry because his attorney has requested severally, but no response? If it's only a year since it's filed, then his prima facie is fine. Remember what I just said like 5 minutes ago. Your first prima facie is for a year, and after that, it's renewed automatically every 6 months. He has a normal case processing, so it's not something to worry about. I received my green card. How do I get a new Social Security card? You got to go to the Social Security office to do it. Okay. Being a recent convicted felon plus pretrial right now, can that stop me from getting a new green card? Possibly, yeah. But, there's just so much to it than just that. It's not a black and white answer. Okay. Let's see. It's been 6 months. Okay, so a lot of those questions are asking the same thing, which I just said already. Jay Hunter, my number is 407-995-6567. If you do immigration evaluations, feel free to email me, and if you want to email me a copy or sample of your evaluations so that we can maybe add it to our referral list. My lawyer forgot to send the tax waiver form for my VAWA, and he wants to send it now. I just received the receipt letter. Will I have any issues if he sends the form separately? No, you will not have any issues, but I always find it interesting when clients have lawyers and then they come to ask the question. You should be able to ask your lawyer this question. If you have a lawyer, that's the whole point of having a lawyer. You should be able to ask them, but people can amend, and supplement their applications when you have the VAWA self-petition, so that's fine. My marriage interview is scheduled next month, but I have no Social Security number, a work permit yet. What documents can I take along to the interview? Your Social Security number is not needed for the interview. You just need something to identify who you are. So your passport is usually enough proof if you don't have anything else. My kids and I applied for a package of VAWA last year, December. I received a work permit and a travel permit. My kids haven't received anything. The kids live in the US. When you say full package, what do you mean? Did your children do an I-485 application, or did they just apply for VAWA? Because those are two different things. So it would depend on what they did versus you. Sometimes the families, they may not get their work permits at the same time, but it would be good to know exactly what they filed. Did they just file the I-360 with you, or did they also file an I-485 and an I-765 based on the I-485? How long does it take for a sister or brother? Anywhere from like 18 to 20 years. You got a long time for siblings. Yeah. I submitted proof of my spouse's citizenship and it's been 2 months. How long will it take to get approved? To be honest, I don't know. I don't know what kind of case you have, and it all depends on the officer reviewing your case. I've been in the US for 10 years. I have a master's in education. I heard there's a program that I can adjust my status. Are you aware of it? I'm not aware of it, unless you're in deportation. If you're in deportation, then you can then try for cancellation of removal. But you have to be in deportation proceedings. And there's some other requirements to it. You have to have a qualifying relative that's a US citizen or a green card holder. So otherwise, there's no program right now that allows you to stay here just based on tenure. Would you be able to divorce your husband if you get a prima facie determination letter? You can divorce your husband anytime, whether you get a prima facie or you don't get a prima facie, because it's your personal choice. USCIS cannot tell you whether to stay married or to not stay married. If the question is, are you still eligible for VAWA? You are still eligible to even file a brand new VAWA application if you're divorced, as long as the divorce has not been more than 2 years. So 2 years is the maximum time. If you file for divorce today, you can submit your vow application tomorrow. If you file for divorce today, you must submit your application before April 29th, 2026. Basically, 2 years is the maximum time in which you can submit your application after divorce. Real Duchess says, I still haven't received a prima facie for 3 years. Am I still safe? That's a problem. Definitely want to find out why you haven't received a prima facie. They should at least send you an RFE to satisfy the requirements of the prima facie. But that is a problem. Unless you received one and maybe it's going to the wrong address. But if you've not received one, definitely a problem. I filed for my daughter in 2019. She was 21 at the time and is still waiting. Can you please tell me what year USCIS are up to? I live in New York. It would require me to log on, which, I don't have much time to do right now. But you can always just type in US Visa Bulletin and you can type in May 2024 under family preference category. And then check. Your daughter will be, I don't know what your own status is. I can't tell here if you're a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, but you'll either be in F2 or F1. F2B, no, you said she was 21. So F2B or F1 categories, okay? This notice is informing that your case for immigrant visa is documentary complete at the NVC and has been since January of 2024. NVC has received all the fees and forms. I guess you're asking me a question about that. It means that your case is documentary qualified. It means that they have all the documents that they need to schedule you for a consulate interview. A consulate interview means it's essentially the same thing as how you do an adjustment of status interview here in the US, but a consulate visit is outside of the United States, and it just means they're going to put you in queue to schedule you for an interview. And in a lot of consulates right now, we're seeing 7 to 8 months from a timeline, which is a massive improvement from like 1 to 2 years that we're seeing last year and the year before that. So hopefully, you get scheduled very soon. I got arrested for domestic violence and got a violation. Can I apply for VAWA? It depends. We'll need to know more. Were you guilty of the domestic violence? Was your case terminated, not prosecuted? Was it in self-defense to an abusive spouse? I mean, there's just so much to unpack there to be able to answer that question. Okay. This person on Facebook says, I filed my I-751 based on a bonafied marriage. Do I have to wait? The I-751 has been pending for 1 year before applying for citizenship. Now, if you and as long as you and your spouse still have a marriage and you filed a joint filing, you can apply based on the 3-year window. Remember, the 3-year window is not just 3 years from your green card. Your spouse had to have been a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years. You have to have been married to your spouse for at least 3 years. I'm losing my train of thought. And, the green card has to have been for at least 3 years in order for you to apply, okay? Meek said, is it safe to travel to Puerto Rico having only a prima facie and advanced parole? Yes, the Puerto Rico is part of the United States. It is safe to travel if you don't have anything else going on. I always got to put that caveat. Like, as long as you're not in deportation or removal proceedings, even though Puerto Rico is part of the United States, sometimes, Customs and Border, so as long as you don't have any deportation pending, you're fine. Melly Mel says your makeup. Thank you. I did it in a rush too today. Okay. Is it good to file for citizenship if you're in a payment plan with the IRS? This is a very good question because there are different scenarios where this is okay. Now, if you've been on a payment plan and you've been paying your payment plan, it's fine. However, if you, let's say, owe the IRS money and you didn't apply for you never pay the IRS, and then all of a sudden, 3 years later, you're applying for citizenship, and you all of a sudden are now doing the payment plan. In that case, they will consider you having lack of good moral character. We've definitely seen it happen, in the past. So those are the scenarios that you want to think of. But as long as you've been on a payment plan naturally, and it's not because you're applying for naturalization and you've always paid on time, then you'll be okay. A consultation is $150. I answered the question on divorce. MGC says, I just got my U.S. citizen last week. Congratulations. That's awesome. I don't know, some of these questions, I feel like they're either replicating itself, like they're repeating themselves. Roughly how long should it take if a U.S. citizen files for their parent while they stay in the U.S.? It could take anywhere from like 5 to 12 months, like we're definitely seeing some cases, not the norm, but we're definitely seeing some cases where they're being approved in like 4 months, like for parents, some 6 months, but anywhere from like 4 to 12 months is your timeline. Is it true that as a green card holder, I can now file for my grandson? Absolutely not. You cannot. Can I apply for a state ID card with an approved I-130 and a pending I-485? It's very state specific. So what you want to do is you want to check your state's DMV to see what their requirements are. Good morning. If you receive a work and travel permit, which is a combination card, can I apply for a job that makes you leave the states back and forth? I would not. Everblast, thank you so much. You're so sweet. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen for 20 years. I would like to file for my brother. How long will the process take? When can I start? Like I mentioned earlier, it's taken about 20 years. Now, me saying 20 years doesn't mean you can't apply right now. You need to apply to even lock in that timeline. It's just that as long as you're aware that it takes a long time, but you can certainly put in your I-130 so that you can get in the system and actually in the countdown if you wanted to apply now. Okay, one more question and I gotta go. All right, I answer the... Can a permanent resident be my sponsor if my husband can't? Very good question. A joint, you can have a joint, if your spouse is not eligible with the income requirement for a joint sponsor in a green card based petition, you can have either a 10-year green card holder or a U.S. citizen file their joint sponsor. Just make sure that they meet the income requirement. So if your husband's income requirement is this, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the same income requirement as your joint sponsor. The calculation is based on that joint sponsor's family size, who else they've petitioned for, do they have children, and all of that stuff. But so that's about it. I have to jump off. I have a meeting, but I'll be on live tomorrow at 10. So if you want to tune in at 10 Eastern time, I'll be able to answer any other questions that I didn't get to. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.